Today is Friday, the 20th of May, and we have to talk about, will we experience food shortages? Because, obviously, the conflict in Ukraine has, well, things weren't going great before, were they? I mean, the past 2 years have been awful. We've experienced government crackdowns on freedom. We got Joe Biden in the White House. I did not see that coming from a mile away. And it hurts me hard because I remember back in 2019, the end of 2019, I really thought times were going to get better. I remember the end of 2019. We had a general election here in the UK. Big win for the Conservative Party. We defeated communism here. October 2019. I went to my friend's 18th birthday party. We had a great time. I went back to America. I went to Florida with my family and my aunt and uncle. And we had a phenomenal time in Florida. Run by, of course, Big Ron. But now we're in 2022. There is a war in the world. Fuel prices are at record highs. Inflation is at a 40-year high. Inflation is at 9%. 9%. That is just the biggest in 40 years. Mainly exacerbated by fuel, because we have incompetence in our government who decided it was a good idea to get fuel from Russia. Just great planning from our leaders. And now, because of the war, we have to talk about the coming food catastrophe by The Economist. If I'm just going to show you The Economist completely, if it's showing comes up, NewsGuard certified, 100 out of 100. The Economist. The coming food catastrophe. War is tipping a fragile world into mass hunger. Now, they're talking about the UN, and I'm no fan of the UN. I think the UN is a governing board that does absolutely nothing to make the world a better place. As Jordan Peterson said, I was watching him in a podcast, he said the UN had 200 goals for the century. You don't have 200 goals, you have 200 things you want to do. To have a goal, you need 2 goals to achieve. I mean, the UN is just a joke, but this could theoretically happen. I mean, if we just look at Daily Mail, apocalyptic warnings that millions will starve. To be honest, I think a lot of this is, tabloid nonsense. But let's just look at this for a second. Top fertilizer exports by country. Number 1, Russia. Russia is the largest exporter of fertilizer in the world. And we are now trying to destroy their economy. Largely unsuccessful. We've just made the Russian people pissed off and they can't stop Putin. What does that do? Are we gonna... Because if we can't produce food, the supply chains have been already destroyed by the horrific lockdowns. This will go down. We're gonna, in 10 years, 10, 20, 30 years, our children, the children of the next generation, are going to ask us what lockdowns were like, and we can tell them it was horrific. We artificially put the global economy into a coma for nearly 2 years, and we just expected, those of us knew what would probably happen, but those who blindly followed are now wondering why we are having record inflation, record fuel prices. Look at this. Fuel prices among the UK. The average unleaded fuel price is 168.20. Now if we go down to where I live, in Essex, here we go, 162.66. How many places have I seen it at 162? Like 2. I was coming home from work. What day was it? Tuesday. Probably Tuesday. Fuel prices were at 179, or it was at 170.9 a litre. I remember today is the 20th of May, yeah. So I've been driving for literally exactly 1 year. I remember this time last year, I paid £48 for a full petrol tank. Now that only gets me 3/4. And I think 3/4 cost me about £53 the last time I filled it up. So we're seeing record fuel prices, and fuel prices. I've got a story here from the Daily Mail. Gas stations in Washington reprogram fuel pumps for $10 a gallon fuel because of Biden's idiotic, horrendous energy policy. The reason I bring this up is I'm not an American. Would I like to be an American? I wouldn't like to be a full American. I'd like to be a British American. But this will affect us at some point. If they're going to get to $10 a fuel gallon, and that won't be the average among the states, because Washington State is a horrendously far left progressive state. Well, actually, I think it's only the cities. But here we go. If fuel prices in there reach $10 a gallon, we'll be paying £2.11 per litre. £2.11 per litre. And even if you say, that's going to be crazy. Like, it's usually the average is usually $2 less. So if we say it's $8 a gallon, because in the more red states it's cheaper. So we go to British pounds a litre. So if the US is 169.3. So think about that. So if that's $8 a gallon, Jesus. And they're expecting to see $10 a gallon because they've actually had to reprogram their pumps to go to another digit among Biden inflation. Look at that. Fuel prices have gone up $2. Insane. But what does this have to do with food shortages? Well, it's simple. Fuel makes the world run. I work in a store, and I like my job, but I notice things. I've been working since July 2020. I've been working in a shop pretty much full time. So I've been working in the shops pretty much full time for 2 years. I'm only young, so that's why I've been doing it. But I've noticed the price of food going up like crazy. The price of alcohol has gone up incredibly recently. No longer can drink whiskey and cocoa willy-nilly. Good. What a first world problem we have. I've seen deliveries coming in later. There's less deliveries coming in sometimes. And I'm not trying to scaremonger, but I generally think we're gonna see some kind of shortage. I don't know how bad it will be or how long it will be. But I think when the harvest comes in the autumn, the winter is always a harder time. But this year as well. Because in December, it's funny, because we got the World Cup in December, because people love spending in December, because it's Christmas. Everyone loves Christmas. You like to eat more, you like to have a good time. But if there's a bad harvest in autumn, and you got people demanding more, not just for Christmas, but for the World Cup, if you're an American, you don't understand how crazy the rest of the world takes the World Cup. Especially in England, we take the World Cup extremely seriously. And it's always in the summer. This is the first World Cup that will be in the winter. And usually in the summer, we buy burgers, we buy beers, we buy chicken, we have barbecues, we drink like crazy, and we have a great time. But if this is coming in December, you're going to have the holiday periods where people want to buy more, the World Cup where people are going to want to buy more. Combine that with a bad harvest, with Russian fertilizer going down, Ukraine's wheat exports going down. They said exports were up by 30%. But this was published February 2nd, before the war. And just anywhere you got it, you can look it up. Ukraine's exports have gone down tremendously, especially with the Russians controlling the... Is it the Black Sea? I think it's the Black Sea. Russians control the Black Sea. Massive war-torn country at the moment. I just think it's worth pointing out, whatever it will be, we will see a shortage, whether it's... I don't know what it'll be. But we're going to see something. Maybe it's meat, maybe it's like breads, or even like alcohol. Something is going to collapse. I mean, look, we've already from Timcast News, Biden invokes Defense Production Act to address baby formula shortage. I mean, look, this baby formula are Target. Oh, pressed the wrong thing there. They have no baby formula. And I know firsthand that this is happening in our country as well. And I've been working. I've had people, and I know this is anecdotal evidence, but I think it's important, because I've had people firsthand tell me they've had to go to 5, 6, sometimes 7 different stores to find baby formula, which is just insane. Because if there's anything that's going to get people riled up, it's not having food for their children, especially babies. I mean, you're gonna target the worst people. And if you don't think it's bad, look at from the Independent. Sri Lanka closes schools and limits work amid fuel shortages. Now you might say, this is Sri Lanka. We live in a developed economy, so all things would be alright. The West, us in the West, we maybe weakened ourselves since the end of the Cold War. We've become more progressive, we've become more liberal. Probably now it's looking like all that has been for the worse. We've got a rising China, war in Ukraine, dictators around the world becoming emboldened. This comes back to Strauss-House generational theory. Strong men create good times. Good times create weak men, and weak men create hard times. We're in the hard times phase. I mean, just if you don't believe me, Sri Lanka closing school among fuel shortage. Fears over we might run out of grain and food shortages. There's baby formula shortages. The coming food catastrophe. $10 massive inflation, massive gas prices. Here's some good news. Apparently, from the Daily Express, MPs to debate 40% fuel reduction, probably to do with the stupid green energy we've done ourselves with. We definitely here in the UK. I think things we might ride out the storm better than anyone else, because it's scary to think about, but in the West, if you compare our leaders in the West, here in the UK we've got Boris Johnson. France, they got Macron. The United States, they've got Joe Biden. Canada, Trudeau. Germany, Olaf Scholz. It's like, Ukraine, they got Zelensky. Zelensky, he seemed to be doing pretty well. But it's scary. Boris Johnson is the most competent leader out of all of them there. And he's definitely moving away to more traditional conservative now, which is good. He wants to build more nuclear power plants. So that's good. I think we'll survive the fuel and food crisis. But this is the new normal. Welcome to the new normal. You think prices are going back to pre-2020 levels? Good luck with that. They are not going back. So what I'm going to suggest, this is what I personally am going to do. I'm going to buy some emergency food, because sometimes it rains. Sometimes it's better to just have something and put it away and just not worry about it than not have it at all. I've got some emergency supplies. I'm going to buy some more. I'm definitely going to buy some emergency foods, because what's What's the best case scenario we're facing in the world right now? Things remain the same. Because things won't get any better anytime soon. With record inflation, record food prices, record fuel prices. Things are going to go up from here, especially with war in Ukraine continuously going on. Putin looks like he's going to win. He's probably going to carve out the east of Ukraine, and we'll have a east and west Ukraine like North and South Korea. West Ukraine and East Ukraine will probably come into they'll probably join NATO and the EU, but then we'll have a multipolarized world for the first time. This will be the first time in my lifetime we'll have a multipolarized world. And I don't know what that's going to be like. But we'll have to wait and see. So I'll leave you with this from the Daily Mail. I've shown this, but will the world run out of grain? I don't think the world will run out of grain. But we live fat, happy lives. And what's going to happen if that gets disrupted in any way? I don't know. But I'm going to buy some emergency food. So don't come pleading to me if things do get worse.